There is a moment in every story about American speed when the road seems to stretch farther than the eye can hold, and the machine rushing across it feels less like metal and more like a promise. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona was born from that exact hunger, crafted so Dodge could chase glory on the high banks of NASCAR. Its long nose sliced through the air like a spear, while a towering rear wing, standing nearly 2 feet tall, steadied the car at speeds most drivers only imagined in their dreams. Deep inside its frame lived the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, an engine whose thunder could shake a grandstand. Drivers spoke of its power the way soldiers speak of artillery, because this Daytona pushed well beyond 400 horsepower and carried enough force to touch 200 miles per hour on the long straights. That kind of speed was unheard of in its time, the kind of achievement that turned gas station conversations into legends. Back in the late 1960s, this machine left the showroom for a little over $4,000. Today, a well-preserved Daytona demands figures closer to several $100,000, especially the rare Hemi cars that collectors chase like buried treasure. For all its noise and myth, there is something tender about remembering a machine that dared to bend the wind. And if stories like this stir your own memories of the golden muscle era, stay with us a little longer, and consider subscribing to American Muscle Soul as we continue uncovering the machines that shaped a generation. As the Daytona left behind the echo of wind and wings, another symbol of late 60s ambition stepped forward, carrying the weight of Ford's racing dreams. The 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 was never meant to be ordinary. It was created so Ford could place a new 7-liter powerhouse into the hands of its NASCAR teams, and to do that, a street version had to exist. What emerged was a Mustang that felt carved rather than assembled. Its stance low, its hood scoop breathing like a living creature drawing in air before a sprint. Inside the engine bay rested the 429 cubic inch semi-hemispherical V8, a creation so large it barely fit within the Mustang's frame. Ford engineers called its cavernous heads shotgun barrels, and once the throttle opened, the name made perfect sense. The car surged with a fierce climbing pull, pushing the speedometer into the 120-mile-per-hour range when given enough road. When new, a Boss 429 left the dealership for just under $5,000. Today, a clean example commands well over $300,000, especially the most original cars that collectors guard carefully. If you have ever seen a real Boss 429 rumble past, comment the number 9, and if not, comment the number 0. I am curious how many of you have met this beast in the wild. After the Boss 429 roared away like a storm breaking loose from steel, the spirit of late 60s muscle shifted towards something far more bare-knuckled. The 1968 Plymouth Roadrunner Hemi arrived with none of the polish or posturing that defined its rivals. It was a machine built around a single idea: let the engine do the talking. The body wore simple lines, light panels, and almost no ornament, as if Plymouth wanted to remind America that true speed needed no fancy costume. Resting beneath the hood was the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, the same race-bred heart that shook grandstands in NASCAR. Its twin 4-barrel carburetors fed a deep and restless appetite, pushing output well north of 420 horsepower. Drivers spoke of the car's urgency, the way it lunged forward the instant the throttle dropped, running from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a handful of heartbeats. Given enough open road, the Hemi runner touched roughly 150 miles per hour, a feat few budget-minded machines could ever dream of. When new, this stripped-down powerhouse sold for a little over $4,400. Today, a genuine Hemi Roadrunner can easily pass $100,000, with the rarest, most original cars climbing higher as collectors chase the purity of that raw performance era. Looking back, the car feels like a rebellion cast in metal, a reminder that sometimes the simplest recipe carries the boldest punch. And with machines growing wilder from year to year, the next chapter of this story only grows more intense. The fading roar of the Hemi Roadrunner opened the way for a different kind of power, one shaped with precision rather than brute force. The 1967 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 427 carried the confidence of a machine rooted deeply in racing heritage. Its long, sculpted profile and hidden headlights gave it the appearance of a predator gliding beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Beneath the hood lived the 427 cubic-inch big block V8, built with heavy-duty internals, meant to endure the high revolutions demanded by serious competition. Output rose beyond 430 horsepower, unleashing a rush of acceleration that drivers often described as one continuous pull from idle to its upper range. It reached 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds and pressed toward 147 miles per hour, with an ease that felt almost predatory. When new, this Corvette sold for just above $4,700. Today, well-kept 427 models often climb into the low to mid six-figure range, especially those equipped with the most coveted performance packages. Although produced for only a single year, the Stingray 427 remains a defining achievement of Chevrolet's muscle era, a rare moment when elegance and unrestrained force shared the same breath. The elegance and controlled fury of the Stingray 427 set a high bar, yet the closing years of the decade were never content with restraint. From that rising tension came a machine that felt as though Chevrolet had torn a page from its own racing playbook and slipped it straight onto public roads. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 looked familiar at first glance, sharing the lines of the everyday Camaro, but something in its posture hinted at deeper purpose. The cowl induction hood rose like a quiet warning, and the absence of badges only made the car feel more secretive, as if hiding strength too wild to wear a nameplate. At its core lay the all-aluminum 427 cubic-inch big block, a direct descendant of Chevrolet's Can-Am program. Light, brutal, and engineered for relentless high-speed work, the engine pushed beyond 430 horsepower. When unleashed, the ZL1 surged forward with a sharp, climbing force, rushing to 60 miles per hour in barely more than 5 seconds, and climbing toward 140 miles per hour with unwavering intent. It was quick, but it demanded commitment. The engine came alive only under a heavy right foot, rewarding courage with raw acceleration. When new, the ZL1 carried a price north of $7,000, a shocking figure in the late 60s. Today, these cars stand among the most treasured Camaros ever built, often crossing the $500,000 mark when preserved in true original form. And if you are still with us on this journey through the fiercest machines of the decade, leave a comment with the number 5 so I know you are riding along with the legends. The storm left behind by the ZL1 shifted the decade toward sharper, more disciplined machines, and few embodied that focus better than the 1966 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350. Carroll Shelby reshaped the youthful Mustang into something leaner and more controlled, a fastback that looked familiar yet carried a tightened stance, as if the entire body were coiled with purpose. Beneath the hood, the 289 cubic-inch high-performance V8 beat, with a precision that came from countless hours of tuning. Its output rose above 300 horsepower, and once the throttle opened, the engine delivered a rising pull that echoed the sound of mid-60s road racing. The GT350 sprinted toward 60 miles per hour in just under 7 seconds and pushed on toward 130 miles per hour, its voice sharp and urgent. Its racing clutch and stiff suspension made it brilliant on track but demanding on ordinary streets, a reminder that this car was built for drivers who understood commitment. When new, it sold for a little more than $4,500. Today, early examples often climb into the $200,000 range, especially those that remain true to their original form. Looking back, the GT350 marked the moment when the Mustang evolved from a symbol of freedom into a focused instrument of competition. The sharpened discipline of the GT350 prepared the stage for a different kind of breakthrough, one born not from refinement but from rebellion. The 1964 Pontiac GTO emerged quietly from within General Motors, created by engineers who tucked a large engine into a mid-size car, despite corporate rules forbidding it. That bold decision reshaped American performance overnight. The GTO retained the gentle curves of the Tempest, yet subtle scoops, a hood-mounted tachometer, and 6.5-liter badges hinted at a deeper intent. Beneath the surface lay the 389 cubic inch V8, breathing out more than 320 horsepower through race-inspired internals. The result was a surge of muscular, rising power that carried the car to 60 miles per hour in only moments before pressing toward roughly 120 miles per hour. Costing just over $3,000 when new, the first-year GTO has since become one of the most sought-after classics of the era, with pristine examples stretching well beyond $80,000. Looking back, the GTO was less a car and more a spark that ignited a movement. Its blend of big power and smaller size pushed every automaker to chase louder, faster dreams, marking the true beginning of the muscle car age. The rise of the GTO left Detroit buzzing with new ambition, and from that excitement came a machine shaped by Carroll Shelby's relentless pursuit of power. The 1967 Shelby GT 500 Mustang kept the familiar fastback silhouette, yet carried a heavier, more commanding presence. A blacked-out grille, wide stance, and firm hood pins gave it the confidence of a car built to take charge of any road it touched. Beneath the long hood rested the 428 cubic inch Police Interceptor V8, tuned to deliver more than 350 horsepower. Its broad, rolling torque pushed the GT 500 forward with a steady strength, climbing toward 118 miles per hour while offering a surge that felt both controlled and imposing. From a stop, it reached 60 miles per hour in only a few quick breaths, though its old-style drum brakes reminded drivers that immense power still demanded respect. Priced a little above $4,000 when new, early big-block Shelbys now command impressive figures, often soaring into the six-figure range when found with original components. Looking back, the GT 500 marked a moment when the Shelby Mustang evolved from a sharp-edged track weapon into something broader in spirit, blending muscle and maturity in a way that still defines its legacy today. The commanding presence of the GT 500 set the tone for what came next, and into that atmosphere stepped the 1967 Plymouth GTX, a machine that blended refinement with unmistakable strength. Born from the Belvedere platform, it transformed a modest sedan into a confident performance icon, its Coke bottle lines tightened with muscle and its domed hood hinting at the force waiting underneath. That force came from the 440 cubic inch Super Commando V8, fitted with a hotter cam and aggressive intake to deliver more than 370 horsepower. Drivers often recalled the instant surge when the throttle dropped, the GTX leaping towards 60 miles per hour before pressing toward roughly 115 miles per hour with calm determination. Its acceleration felt wide and steady, giving the car a sense of controlled authority rather than frantic speed. With a price slightly above $3,000 in its debut year, the GTX now sits comfortably in the mid-five-figure range for well-preserved examples, especially those retaining original trim and drivetrain components. Remembered today, the GTX stands as proof that muscle could be both elegant and forceful. It elevated Plymouth's reputation and helped shape the next wave of 60s performance. The rise of the Plymouth GTX reminded everyone that refinement and force could share the same sheet metal, yet the 60s still had room for surprises. One of the most striking came a little earlier, in the form of the 1965 Pontiac Catalina 2+2. Though built on a full-size platform, the car carried a confidence that made its size feel intentional, even graceful. The long body wore subtle checkerboard trim and a darkened rear panel, details that gave the 2+2 an understated but unmistakable sense of occasion. The real story lived beneath its expansive hood. There, The 421 cubic inch V8, weighted with high-flow heads, a lively camshaft, and the kind of deep, immediate torque that made heavy cars feel lighter than they looked. Output rose above 370 horsepower, enough to send the big Pontiac rushing toward 60 miles per hour in only a brief sweep of time before pressing onward to roughly 113 miles per hour. Straight-line speed came easily, though the weight of that large engine up front made the car work harder when the road began to curve. When new, the Catalina 2+2 asked for just under $3,000. Today, well-preserved examples often sit in the mid-five-figure range, appreciated by enthusiasts who understand the charm of a full-size muscle machine. Looking back, it stands as proof that power did not belong only to compact frames. It broadened what muscle could be, setting the stage for a richer performance landscape. As we close this journey through the quickest machines of the 1960s, it's clear why these legends still shape the way we think about American speed. If you enjoyed exploring their power, stories, and what they cost across the decades, make sure to like the video and subscribe to American Muscle Soul. Your support helps us bring more classic performance history to the channel. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more timeless muscle.